Hey guys, just wanted to show you how I went from a website like this, a very basic Google site that I have for the past many years, to this. This is my new website, all vibe coded, uh, but it works and it's very functional, and most importantly, it's the messaging, what it's trying to say, what it's trying to depict is so much more me, right? So I'll take you through how this happened. Of course, like anyone else, I just started off by a simple prompt, uh, and the prompt went something like this: Hey Claude, since you know so much about me now and are getting to know me better and better, what do you think my website should like? Right. So, see, one reason why I'm showing you this video is just to showcase the power of what is available now, and I say most people have not yet caught up with it. Secondly, as business owners, we have a lot to do. Like before, if I had to do something like this, right, it would have taken me quite a long time. Okay, and to get the copy just right, it would have. I was searching for someone who could do my copy properly, like the right person who could really understand and get the copy done, right? Um, and that's very important, especially for me, because in consulting work, how you show your expertise matters a lot, right? So, of course, it generated some slop like this. It looks nice, but this is too generic, like way too generic. I like the aesthetic in a way. It looks neat and fancy, but it's not me yet. Okay. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the process of how I made this mean so much more. Okay. So the whole thing starts off with a prompt where I give it some sample, okay, of um, the thing that you have to realize is the missing part here was not the UI UX. Okay. That is very easy, very well done already, right? um, a lot of effort was put. In fact, I carried over this blinking cursor because I really like that little element to the new site and so on, right? But what was missing here was the content was not me, right? Like, like this piece of text here, systems designer, spreadsheet architect, AI tinkerer. This is where I geek out, experiments, rabbit holes, and things I'm building just because I can. I mean, okay, this is fine. This is too descriptive. It's not me, right? So I start off by giving it a little bit about what my exact problem is. Okay. And I started this in a completely new, fresh conversation, so it does not carry forward any of uh, the the context from this. It starts from a clean blank state. So I basically just told it, I was wondering how to convey my core skill, right? And whatever it is, right? My expertise basically. And I told my exact frustration, right? The the problem with me was I've had this for the longest time, and this is a positioning problem, as the chat discovers as we go through this. Um, So, for example, I gave this an example, okay, of a convo with Claude only, and I told it that one of my biggest pains is that people usually take 5 to 10 years to fully understand what I'm saying, blah blah blah. Very frustrating for me, even though I get to say I told you so. Not pleasant and costs a lot. Also, I'm not able to convey my value directly. Um, so that's something that really was a pain point for me. I tried a lot of things. I tried, uh, you know, quite a lot of things, but without any good solution. Right. Only when people work with me over a few projects or years, they really get to know me a bit. But then the other issue starts is they lock into the specific value or skill I brought to the table for them, and they pigeonhole me. Matlab, they think I can only do that much. So this is where I really was stuck for a lot of years now. I knew a lot is possible. Every new project, even though the direction is very different, I've never done that before. I really like doing those things, and my expertise still holds true in that also. So I just told it exactly what my frustration was, right? Uh, so I'm giving you this as an example because a lot of times as business owners, this is a pretty lonely place, can become a pretty lonely place also. Um, and you don't really have people to talk to. That's in fact one of the biggest feedback, the best feedback I've received from one of my clients saying it's like just getting to discuss things with you is has been the biggest value add. Anyways, so I just told it the exact issue I had, right? So it took that file and it said whatever, whatever, okay, and it kind of broke down the problem for me. Okay, so it just put the points as I'd said. And the biggest one was this, people latch onto the artifact, meaning what was delivered, not the inside, not how it was solved, not the expertise, right? Um, they remember, like this was a this was a bang on one. Jeet built our billing system, not that I saw the billing logic was a hidden liability 3 years before it broke, right? I mean, this is not a real example, obviously, but yeah, this is the direction that it was in, right? Can't bottle it. This again was the exact pain point I had. Okay. The conversation you attached is actually, so I'd selected this conversation exactly because it shows how it goes from a half form idea to kind of getting it or massaging it in the right direction and getting it exactly to a proper solution, right? Um, yeah, so it uh, basically Claude got to know there's a much deeper mental model, and so on for that particular thing. Uh, and then it kind of summarized that's not a guy with a product idea, it's someone who uses sharp questioning to excavate their own thinking in real time, right? I'm sure this is just, uh, we call it Muskan in Mumbai, which means it's just flattering, but this part was real. Okay. Um, so what should the website really show? This part I really agreed with because for the longest time this did not feel right with me, right? It's not a list of skills, not a portfolio of deliverables. I have to show the thinking in motion somehow, right? Um, till now I didn't find any good alternates other than finally ending up writing articles. Um, so this this is what at least it felt at like we are going in a proper direction and defining the problem at least, right? Okay, so it says there's a few directions. Conversations as artifacts. I can show the conversations directly, which is what I was thinking of, but then I didn't want to uh, give away thinking like for work in progress things, products that are being made. So this was not really possible all the time. I told you so as case studies. This is good. I should start correcting them. And finally, a manifesto style page. So it said not a bio, not a point of view. Most people solve the problem in front of them. I work on the problem behind the problem. Like, see, this was a great line. Okay. So I just took it and saved it in Notepad somewhere, right? That's it. As soon as I found something that I can start using, I just took it and pasted it into Notepad. Um, yeah. So then I like this the most. Okay. And on the pigeonhole problem, this is actually a positioning problem. So this is where it told me what the exact problem was, right? When people can't categorize you, they grab the nearest familiar handle, right? The Excel guy, billing system guy, whatever, whatever, right? Billing system keeps coming up because that was a recent project that was on. The fix isn't to show more breadth, is to give them a better category before they invent a worse one. I was like, someone understands me. At this point, I was like, okay, this could go in a good direction. Okay, this is the first time I'm doing something like this. I just wanted to explore how real something uh, can be made just by using AI as a sounding board, if nothing else. Right. So it gave some suggestions, system thinker who builds things, or more specifically for you, I find the primitive. Okay, this is too much tech stuff. Anyways, so I told it, okay, I was already thinking of these three, but need help to not, you know, think about them too much. Love the manifesto style over bio. And I told it my tagline for years has been simplifying the complex, right? And about my presentation, my question on what category, and I told it exactly what I went through, okay, which is like, I wish I knew. Um, and I told it this is a tough one. It's like saying what category AI fits in because I was talking to it. So, yeah. And case studies are often a double-edged sword. That's what I was trying to poke it for. What do you do with the ones that naturally failed? Okay, this is another sideline I went through just to check how it's thinking, right? How would this conversation excerpts look like? I don't want to give away internal product thinking for free on my website. Okay. Um, so it went through each one quickly. Simplifying the complex, it said is too generic. Everyone uses it, but it said dissolving complexity. Um, then that's where I again saved these two words. Um, yeah. Then it came to my reaction, right, for the category. Which category do you fit into? Now, this is where it gets interesting. You don't fit a category because you operate one level above categories. And I'll tell you, I felt seen in this, right? Um, at this point, I was thinking, okay, I should remember this is um, just a machine talking to me. The website shouldn't try to fit you in one. It should make the visitor feel that. I'm not a developer, not a consultant, not a strategist. I'm the person you call when none of those are working. Again, I saved this one, right? Um, Failed case studies. Again, it twisted my mind here a bit. The best case studies are the ones that failed. Uh, I saw this, they didn't listen, here's what happened, here's what we should have done. It took another it took another meaning than what I meant, which I clarified later. That's not embarrassing that the proof, okay, this was completely off. Conversation expert excerpts without giving away product thinking. You don't show the what, you show the how. But that whole thread of conversation was useless. It went into a bad direction, and I just dropped that idea. Okay. And finally, it asked me that one question because this determines everything about the site structure. And this is a really good question. Okay. I am glad it asked me this very quickly in the third message itself. Who is the ideal person landing on your site? Okay. Not demographic. He is basically asking for the ideal customer profile, right? What situation are they when they find you? Again, that was a very good question. It really helped me think. through what I was going to say. Okay. Um, yeah. So I told it what I liked, dissolving complexity, so much better in lesser words. Mm, I'm not a developer, not a consultant. That line I said again. I'm the maybe I should just put this only, right? That was my inclination at that point, to put this verbatim. But it seems a bit pompous, so I told it that, right? Don't want it to come off as pompous because I mean, why? Then this was me answering the other ones. So I meant the ones I prophesize but don't end up happening just because it's not like I have a crystal ball with 100% future telling capabilities. Uh, but like I said, ignore this thread completely. It went in a different direction. Um then I told it about the example it gave over here of how can I show my thinking, right? So I told it it is so abstract and no meaning even to me. Okay, so if it doesn't mean anything to me, it will not mean anything to my users also, um, my audience rather. The ideal situation is that they need brains for hire. Okay, so I was trying to answer this one question at the end. For a very valuable situation like an expensive problem or a burning desire to do what it takes to grow exponentially, right? Or those who just have a deep curiosity for everything. These two are the kind of three uh, uh, people are kind of the people I work with best, right? Because that's where I can do my deepest kind of work. Uh, so again, it's going to this. It gave just some random sentences which I didn't really like, and this was like too wordy. So I told it that later. Prophecies don't happen, don't include those, you're not obligated to publish everything. Okay, fine. Like I said, this is just get that one. Abstract except problem, you're right, here's the fix. Again, this was not good. Um, Now this is where gets interesting. Okay. Your ideal visitor, you described three, right? The expensive problem needs sharp brains fast. Exponential growth committed to doing what it takes. And the third kind is different from these two. It's just deep curiosity, no specific agenda, right? Uh, so these are actually very different people, but they share one thing. Now this is what I really liked. Okay, it immediately found the common thread between all of them. They already know standard solutions won't cut it. They're not shopping, they're searching. I was like, yes, buddy, yes. So I'll actually do one thing. I'll take all these great phrases I've had and I'll put them in one doc and share it in the description. Okay. Um, yeah. So they're not shopping, they're searching. Okay, this is a very important distinction, and they already know that standard solutions won't cut it, right? That's the person your side needs to speak to. Someone who's already exhausted the obvious opinions and options. Um, which of the three is your most valuable client? Again, very good question. Okay. Follow the money and energy, not the romance. Which is a very interesting one to tell me here at this point. Um, I told it which one I liked, but no, this is just like philosophy. I realized about typing while typing. Let's take examples from the convo I shared. So I told it, okay, take examples so that I can see exactly how to show the conversation, right? And the thinking in it. Uh, yeah. So then finally I'm answering the main question here for it. The money is mostly in the first two. Okay, the list is a priority only. So the first one is my pick here, but at the same time, I don't want to make it all about them because the second ones have I have a much better work experience with them since they are not in a corner but want to avoid them in the future too. Yeah? Avoid problems in the future too. Sorry. So basically, this second person is I'm saying this is my ideal client, right? Uh, this is where the money is. This is where my best experiences are, and this obviously is like a passion thing for me. Um, okay, so it's trying to give me how to show the conversation, but again, we'll ignore that stuff. Should have revealed someone came in with a communication. No. Okay. So on client priority, smart distinction, expensive problem clients pay well, but they're in crisis. Exponential growth clients are better to work with and can become long term, right? So the site should qualify visitor 1 while attracting visitor 2, meaning don't make it all about rescue, make it about building something that doesn't need rescuing later. Okay? So this is where the hero of the main tagline comes up. The one line that might do both is I'd rather help you avoid the expensive problem than solve it. And this was bang on. I I sat with it for a few minutes, and there's no way I could come up with something better than this, right? And it did both the things. Okay, it did exactly what it said here, right? Um, so I was like, yes, yes, yes. The second one is just uh like more yes. However, I do know only people who really have this kind of vision will get the second line, meaning this one, right? So, what do you think of that? Okay, so here I was trying to kind of play the advocate and trying to pinpoint or poke it for holes, right? Are there any loopholes? Okay. So here's when the conversation gets pretty real. Um, Yeah, so it it said, no, but this is the exactly the filter you want that's working, right? People who don't get that line, they're the crisis clients who show up when the building is on fire, want it fixed yesterday, and then disappear, right? They'll find you anyway when they're desperate. You don't need to optimize your site for them. I was like clapping at this point. Uh, and people who do get it, they read that line and feel seen. Okay, they've already lived that that expensive problem once. They don't want to again. Or they're sharp enough to see around the corners and recognize someone else who does too, right? These are your exponential growth clients. So the line isn't just positioning, it's a filter that does the qualifying for you passively before you've spoken to anyone, right? The only risk is if the line sits alone with no evidence behind it, it's just a claim. It needs one concrete thing next to it that makes it believable. That's where all this proof thing comes up, blah blah blah. Okay. Then we go down this whole hole about okay, the main line is done. Now, how do you show the proof, right? That's where we really need to hone in on on the proof of the pudding, basically, right? So yeah, so we went down too many things here, and I just went back and forth, trying to get to that, which is where I finally took some sort of break. Okay, then I continued the next day, probably a few messages after this. Huh. So, by the way, it gave me a few good. I was just trying to play again, trying to poke it for new ideas. Um, so, uh, this was a what I saw then log, a public dated log, not a blog, just short entries. Told a fintech client that data model would break at scale, blah blah blah. They fixed UI instead, no names, no nothing. But the accumulation of entries is the proof, right? Readers do the maths themselves, which was a good idea. I'd already started down this lane, but not really followed through. So this gave me like a confidence kind of thing. Okay, okay, that was a good line of uh, thought. I should have continued with that, right? So seeing this pop up on its own made quite a lot of difference. Unsolicited teardowns. This is the one I like the most because I could pick just any product, system, business model, blah blah blah, publicly visible ones, and publish a one-page structural diagnosis, not a review, not an opinion, a teardown of what's actually working, holding it together, what's quietly breaking, and so on. Right? Shows the thinking on neutral ground, no client confidentiality issues, no IP exposed. Right? This was again a really good one. Then a single hard question rotating. This was a bit gimmicky, but I told it that a little later. Just one question on the home page changes in a little while. It basically will show what problem are you actually solving, or who benefits if this stays broken. So questions like this will keep showing up on the website automatically. But this felt gimmicky, so I told it so. Right? Um, yeah. Let someone else say it. Testimonials were what else it kind of came up with. Yeah, I give it some things. Okay, this is one other great thing that came up um, on what to call you, right? Consultants is wrong, so strategist, advisor, architect. The honest answer from everything you've said is you're a thinking partner who builds things, right? Or more specifically, you're someone who finds the load bearing question in any system. Again, this gets a bit technical, but I understood it. Whether that system is a product, a business, a code base, or a conversation. Maybe the title is just systems thinker, builder, whatever. But again, ignore it too random. Um, or something more, Jeet. I find what's holding it together, all generic stuff. But actually, what do you instinctively say when someone at a party asks what you do? Okay, this was a great question again. It really helped me think through what uh, like these situations are where I really fumble. So I told it. Okay, Lola just fumble around describing whatever tech stuff is on top of my mind. Then see them blank out. Then get a bit lost. Nowadays, I just defaulted to I make software for companies in Excel and Google Sheets. At least some people nod in fake amazement. So it's like, yeah, that's the worst possible answer for you specifically because it's the least interesting true thing about you. Okay. It's like Feynman asking Feynman what he does, and he says, "I grade papers." I really laughed at this one. So Richard Feynman was a physicist. Uh, Even though he was a professor, um, his contribution is much bigger than that. So, like him saying I grade papers is like really puts how people see me in perspective, right? When I say such things, here's the real problem: you don't have a one-line handle that you believe in. So you grab the nearest concrete thing. This is true. People do this when the true answer feels either too hard to explain or too arrogant to say loud. Okay. This was again a really good one. Okay. Uh, so I said, what's the true answer for you? It basically asked me, what's this? If you weren't worried about how it lands, okay, don't edit it, just say it. I said, I design systems that will take your business places. Um, and it said, that's it, that's the one. Let's just tighten it slightly. That will take is a bit passive. I design systems that take business places, or even more confident, I design systems that move business forward. But honestly, your vision has a swagger to it that the cleaned up version loses. Uh, Take your business places is colloquial in a way, in a good way. Specific enough to mean something, vague enough to be curious, for curiosity. Um, the only word at pressure test is design because it might read as UX, UI, visual design to some. Do you mean systems in architecture sense? If yes, own it, or just be aware. Some will misread it, which was a good point to push up. Um, yeah. So now it basically said, okay, my title is systems designer, or I later changed it to architect actually, because I also did feel this thing. Um, One liner, I design systems that take businesses places. But I would actually make it, I design systems that take your business places. Okay. Um, and that's how I would save it and write it. Positioning, I'd rather help you avoid the expensive problem than solve it. This is what I've put in the main heading in my website, right? Because I want that to be very clear. Differentiators, I dissolve complexity. I've kept my older one, simplifying the complex because it's been used for such a long time now. Filter, people who, unless I find something really worth it, I won't change that, right? Filter, people who want to build something that doesn't need rescuing later. So that's basically what the kind of people I want to focus on working with, right? And it's basically said that's actually a coherent identity. First time it's all in one place. Does seeing it together that like that feel right, or does something clash? So I said, okay, sounds way too pompous. And as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is not that pompous. Just that right now it sounds pompous to me because according to me, I don't have enough uh, proof of the pudding right now. But once I have enough, I'll just say this exactly. Okay. So I told it that sounds way too pompous, even if it's true. I liked your earlier one a lot, softens it up just enough, and still says it all. But yes, swag is less. I'd rather help you avoid the expensive problem than solve it. Yep. Um, eh, yeah, so it agreed. It's also generous in tone. It's about the client's future, not your capability, which is again a very important point for me. I did want something like that. Okay. Pompous is when you center yourself. This centers them, which is why it lands differently. I agreed, and which is why I chose this line over what I had said earlier. Right. So here it kind of basically acted as a translator of tone, if you will. Hmm? And the swag is still there, just underneath. Anyone who reads it twice hears the confidence in it. It took me a second to really look at this line and say, oh, yeah, actually, it does reek of confidence, anyways, right? Flip the table. Opening line is this. What do you do is this. How by simplifying complex systems this blah blah. Then I just keep refining it. Then I told it already that uh, this question had come up earlier whether I should use my actual full name or this thing I use, like a username. I don't know what to call it. So I told it this is how it's been for many years. It's usually uh, good for me, and this is my brand that I want to stick with forever. So it's non-negotiable. Okay. So then it just went off into blah blah blah. Mm. Then it asked me how what's the one action you want the visitor to take? Which again, I think at this point it was a very good question because till now I was thinking about copy and marketing and this and that, but here I actually had to think about okay, once they come on the site, now what? I never thought of this during marketing copy, right? So this was a good place to put that in. So I told it whatever was true for me. I had no idea whatsoever. Best outcome would be a proper in-depth conversation so I get to know them better. Okay, this is generally how I would function best. Um, because I'd get to know them simple, and once I know them, I'll know. I mean, that conversation itself is what will open things up for both parties. So so the CTS just let's talk, which I agreed with. There's nothing much to think in that. Then I gave it some more points for richer context. Like, for example, stuff like the closest people who I can relate to are usually business owners. And I told it why. Okay, that's very important. They see the full scope of things and are not too limited by internal bureaucracy, right? I'd like the website to speak for itself with uh, like small smarts, like saying the list of projects is live streamed from a Google Sheet via just a URL, blah blah blah. Like this is I'm just adding my own technical flavor on top of it. You know the little stuff that acts like subtle proof. Okay. Um, is this a single? No. These were more clarifying questions. Tell me what you're building. This is one more line it had given me earlier, which what I've kind of saved it here and asked it, what about this, right? Yeah, so I told it about this aspect also, that I want to filter out people who are constantly pressured to do it now. Okay, it does not work well for architecture specifically. It plays out uh, when you see it, right? Be brutally honest about this if you need to be. And Claude generally tends to be brutally honest if asked properly, right? Uh, and there's this whole other aspect that I took up in a different on a different day altogether. Uh, just because I had to be see the AI could have given me answers then and there, but the most important part is that I have to be clear enough and fresh enough in my context to be able to go down this path, right? Which is the training aspects. Um, so it went through one by one. Um, so this is the for about business owners being closest peers. This is sharp. This sharpens the site significantly. They read differently. They don't need you to explain ROI. They already know what an expensive problem costs, right? Which was a very good one. I was also wondering, okay, are you sure you don't need to explain ROI to owners? But this second line really made it obvious. Okay. So I have to write for them, not for a hiring manager, which was very, mm, uh, I mean, no comments. This is exactly what I wanted. Okay. Subtle smarts in the site. It said it loves this. Don't explain it, just let it be. The right person will notice and smile. That is the proof. This is what I was going for, right? Uh, this was more blah blah. So the rest of this, no, you can think about it as me getting every single one of my doubts cleared. Okay. A lot of times we kind of take time to or hesitate with real people, or if you, let's say, have a mentor or a very, uh, you know, uh, someone who you look up to may not have that much time to be with you and talk you through each and every small little doubt you have. With AI, that is not a limitation. You can just go and ask, right? And you will know when the answer is right. Okay, you don't have to uh, rely only on people for this now, right? Um, yeah. So about this, I just added a word um, in that same positioning sentence about will. Okay, it said it's a real filter and I respect the intention, but here's the risk. Business owners under pressure are exactly your best clients for the avoid the expensive problem pitch, right? The pressure is why they listen. I can't argue with that. And the ones who aren't pressured yet are harder to sell architecture to. Okay? They don't feel the need. Will might filter out urgency prematurely, worth sitting with. So yeah, I actually sat with it and I think I removed it in the final version. I don't have it on my site. Okay. Training and basically at this point I had not thought of it. So the moment I told that this is the first time I introduced training to this whole conversation, and I told it that what I love most about this is um, I love it when people just have aha moments and feel like they're empowered now. But this is just something I enjoy doing, not the basis of my uh, living. It's all just bonus. So it said the aha moment thing is actually deeply consistent with everything else. I know, obviously, your dissolve complexity for systems, you dissolve complexity for systems and for people. Okay. So this thing, right, I realized only a few months ago. Uh, uh, like literally just two to 3 months ago, right? Okay, I'm doing the same thing. It was there somewhere intuitively, but I had not said it in my mind like this. Okay, so clearly. So I laughed at this. Okay, I was like, yeah, I realized. Same skill, different surface. Even one line somewhere, not as a service, just a fact about you, will resonate with the right business owner who's also thinking about their team, right? So again, we go back and forth, blah blah blah. It asked me for testimonials because I had some in from the training side, uh, and that's what it said. They're all about training. Not one of them speaks about system architect, blah blah blah. Uh, which means you have a testimonial gap for your primary positioning and an abundance of proof for the thing you called a bonus. Yeah, this was a ouch space, right? So it said, okay, training, if you want to put two of these max, it selected which two ones, and I agree with those two. And it basically said the real gap to fill, the client who said discussing me with me was a huge bonus, would probably not have been able to afford me otherwise. That one sentence does more for your primary positioning than all of those combined. Okay, so get that in writing. Um, And also, do you have any written feedback from systems? Uh, so I gave it the reason because after training, it's easy for me to just give them a form versus in projects or retainers, it's ongoing. I don't know when or how to, even the corporate, right? Even the corporate training clients nowadays do not like collection of feedback directly, much less giving, even posting online about having a training, right? Um, So these are real problems I've dealt with. Should I put their names as well on the site? Of course, with permission, but I doubt um, the permission. I'll get the permission, right? And I told it the problem I have with written feedback is that it feels generated and fake. Get similar vibes from my training testimonials. What to do of that? People don't understand that this is just a better way of presenting the same. Um, and it gave me yeah, something about WhatsApp messages much later. Yeah. So it told me actually for going forward, right, at the natural end of any meaningful conversation or milestone, just ask one question over WhatsApp. Light, please. What shifted for you in how you're thinking about this, right? So this again was a very useful thing for me to kind of think about. And as you can see, this whole conversation is only about 30% of the way out. Don't worry, I won't take you through the whole thing. I think I've made my point. Uh, and from here on, we just go into details, blah, 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 blah. It gives me the first version was much, much worse. But the copy was pretty good. Okay. All I had to refine was the design. But after a point, I found it was getting too noisy here, and it kind of went pretty off track. So I said, somewhere along the line, I said, okay, just give me a. Hmm. So just give me the whole convo, like the whole summary, so I can do the building of the website somewhere else, right? So it gave me everything. Um, and of course I copy pasted this somewhere. It's a ready branding positioning doc for me. uh, yeah, I've had a lot of questions. um, and from here on I went into the second part of what I do, which is I deep dived into the training part, right? From here onwards, I took this whole summary it gave me and gave it to another conversation to focus only on the website building. I gave it the file and continued with this. But here, now I continued this whole conversation for the training aspects, right? Of why and how and so on. And finally, we came to the understanding that, okay, this is a equally, if not more, of a valuable part, right? This is not the generic training. This is just, and it came up with a good section for it. Title is There's a Different Kind of Work I Do, Not for a Company, for You. If you're already good at what you do and you sense there's something you're missing, right? It's not coaching, it's not consulting, it's not training, right? It's closer to what a great editor does for a writer. You can't see what's missing because you're too close to your own work. Sometimes one small thing unlocks it all. Let's talk. And this is what went up on the website eventually. So, yeah, this was my journey to coming to a website like this. And yes, this is actually streamed live from a Google Sheet. And mm, these published letters or videos, even this video will come up here live automatically as soon as it's published. What people say, this is dummy text for now, kind of close to what I have, but I'll change it either with a video or the text of what people actually say. And this is that other section, and done. Some of this I still have to clean up, but more or less it's done. And it functions pretty well and it looks good according to what I wanted. Um, and yeah, it works pretty well even on phone. So that was my short and sweet, pun intended, way of showing you how to use AI to position yourself.